What is going on, alpha males? Part of being an alpha male means being different, being set apart. If everybody was an alpha male, then nobody would be an alpha male, right? To be different, to be set apart, the elite. We're going to dive into the very nature of that today. Hopefully that entices you to stick around. If you want to check out stuff while you're listening, go to goodshepherdtraining.com. I'm going to plug in the bio, then we'll get into the main topic. If you don't want to hear the bio, if you've heard it before, skip 3 minutes and 45 seconds ahead. That should get you pretty close to the topic. Who am I? A question we should all ask ourselves. I am, first and foremost, a servant of God, made in His very own image, a follower of Jesus Christ, a simple man called by God to the Great Commission to share the good news of Jesus Christ. Next, a little bit about my background and what God has allowed me to do and blessed me to do in life. Grew up what most would consider very poor in the backwoods of the southeastern and mid-Atlantic United States, hunting and fishing. Joined the Marine Corps at 17. Did a couple of combat tours in Iraq. So a decorated Marine Corps combat veteran. Infantry assaultman. After the combat tours, I was an urban warfare instructor for the United States Marine Corps under Mojave Viper. I also served in the U.S. Army, both full-time and part-time National Guard. Also a veteran of law enforcement. I served with LAPD. I was a sworn peace officer, a cop for LAPD. I worked regular patrol assignments and more specialized assignments. One of those more specialized assignments was warrant service, fugitive recovery. Also had some other law enforcement roles. I am an FBI certified firearms instructor and been certified by another 3-letter government agency in a lot of firearms and training things. I've also been a private contractor, worked in the private sector pertaining to tactics and gunfighting and protecting America from enemies foreign and domestic. I served as the commander of a tactical team to stop active shooters in a large metropolitan area. That was our primary mission, to stop active shooters, which sadly are a thing in America today. I've also been blessed to do quite a bit of competition shooting. Started my first formal competitions even before joining the Marine Corps at 17. I had won more shooting competitions than I can remember. I have competed in all manner of disciplines in shooting. I've been blessed to be a state rifle and pistol champion, West Coast regional champion. Like I said, been blessed to win more shooting competitions than I can remember. Mentioned hunting. I've hunted to put meat on the table starting when I was a child. I've also been a professional big game hunter and guide, hunting and slaying all manner of beast. And I don't apologize for that. Humbled to be the host of 3 podcasts. Simple Man Sermons, Alpha Male Podcast, and Gunfighter Life. Obviously, as things not mentioned, I've been blessed to do many other things. But, again, first and foremost, I'm a servant of God, a believer and follower of the Bible, the Word, Jesus Christ. And I don't apologize for that. With that, let's transition into today's topic. What it means to be set apart, to be different, to be an alpha male. Some of the aspects of that. Not just going along with the crowd like a cow, just shoving whatever is in front of you and consuming it. What the majority does not make it right. What the majority does not make it the most efficient, the best way to do something, or the truth. Right? Just because the majority believes something or does something does not make that thing true. A couple of case in points here. Sodom and Gomorrah. The things they were doing were by far the most populous and popular things to do. It was culture was doing. Culture was doing these things. The vast, vast majority of those cities. In fact, even a few couldn't be found that weren't doing it. Guess what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? The one and his family, righteous Lot, and his family were delivered. Because they weren't just doing what the majority did. He could have just went along with the culture and did what the majority was doing and perished in fire and brimstone. Much like Noah. Their deeds were wicked. They were not pure in their generations. The vast majority, the entire earth, save Noah. And his family was saved. Don't be the majority. Be the remnant. We see this over and over again. The remnant is saved. Be the remnant. Be set apart. Be different. We see this when Jesus is doing the teaching of communion, the bread and the wine as the flesh and the blood. It says, many of the disciples turned back and followed him no more. The 12 stayed loyal at that time. Don't be the majority. Be the remnant. The majority can and often is wrong. So what the majority is doing should little concern you compared to what the truth is. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So don't spend your life so concerned about what the majority is doing, chasing after the latest fashion or the latest trend. It's getting cold here. I'm in Idaho right now. If you don't live, I live semi-nomadically. It's Idaho. It's getting cold here. And I remarked to my wife that I probably should get some sweatpants. I usually work out in silkies. And she excitedly said, "Ooh, can I pick you out sweatpants?" And I said, "Sure, I don't care." And she was showing me all these quote-unquote men's sweatpants. Although I call them abominations. They're basically the skinny jean versions of sweatpants. And I said, no, there's no way. I don't care what men are wearing today. I don't care what they call men's sweatpants. That's garbage. Men shouldn't be wearing stuff like that. It's like when skinny jeans are in fashion, I could care less. I'm not going to wear skinny jeans. I'm not going to buy a pair of skinny jeans. I'm not going to own skinny jeans. In fact, I don't own any jeans. I don't own a single pair of blue jeans. I guess I've kind of always been that way, and I remarked that to my wife quite a while ago, talking something to do with pants, ironically enough. And I remembered back even in high school, I didn't like jeans. I wore corduroys. Just because everybody else wore jeans. Jeans are made of cotton, which is one of the worst fabrics for like survival and climate and things like that, and getting wet. Not only that, they're pretty hard to run in. The pockets aren't great. So I'm supposed to wear them just because everybody else does. Maybe jeans are the best thing for you. Maybe you're a miner, which is what they were made for. Anyway, let's get off that subject. Let's talk about another thing. And I try to stay unpolitical on this show, but obviously COVID was a thing, was told that it was a thing, whatever the case is. Long before COVID was a thing, I made it a point to not touch doors the way everybody else touches a door. If you go up to a public building and look at most doors, you can see like the metal finish or the paint wore off where almost everybody grabs it in the same place. And again, long before COVID, why would I touch a door in the same place where everybody else touches it? It just doesn't make sense. You know germs are a thing. You know bacteria and viruses are a thing. Why would you grab a door the same place that 99% of the population grabs a door when you're entering or exiting it? You can generally very easily reach up on most like public doors where they don't have a specific lock that you have to unlock. Just reach up much higher and push the door open. If you have to pull, you reach on the bottom. Let's say if it's a square door handle, and you reach on the bottom of that handle and pull it from the bottom where almost nobody ever grabs it. Avoiding the place where like a 99 or something, I don't have hard stats on that, but 90-something% of the people grab that door. Why would you open that door like everybody else if you know that germs are a thing, bacteria are a thing? Very similar to that. I go to a dog park now because I live near one, and if I don't, my Rhodesian Ridgeback Alexander Hamilton goes a little crazy on days when we don't go running and things like that. But again, talking about doors, the vast, vast majority go to this one door. Everybody's in there picking up dog poop, whether, whatever, they got bags or whatever, but everybody and their dog walks in through this one gate, almost everybody. There's a side gate that's much cleaner, much newer, much nicer on the side of the dog park that almost nobody uses. Almost nobody touches, and if they do, it's probably a very long time in between one person and the next person touching it. Why would I go in the way that everybody else goes in? Why wouldn't I go in the other way? I guess this goes to the heart of being an independent thinker, and hopefully you are. Hopefully this inspires you to be. And sometimes it does make sense to do what everybody else is doing, right? I'm not going to be like, well, I'm not going to breathe because everybody breathes. I'm not going to drink water because everybody drinks water, right? There's a point to this. There's a point where you do what everybody else does because it's the best thing. But I guess what I'm getting at is, are you doing it because it's actually the best thing or just because that's what everybody else does? Because there's a lot of times in history where everybody else is wrong. You ever see that pretty famous now World War II picture where everybody else is doing the Hail Hitler sign and there's one guy that's just sitting there that's not doing it? It doesn't matter that 99 other people are doing it. He's the right one. You don't do that. Just because society and culture decides one day that something is okay doesn't make it okay. That rings as true in Nazi Germany as it does today. Look at things being predicated on our culture that are blatantly not true and a lie that everybody, well, not everybody, but a big majority of the culture just thinks it's okay. Right? Oh yeah, you're a man, you're a woman, you can just be whatever you want to be. No, you can't. You're born one thing or another. It's so blatantly obvious and true that it's ridiculous that we even have to have this talk. Some things you don't get to pick, right? I couldn't, or you probably wouldn't let a kid that's 15 walk into a liquor store and say, I self-identify as 23, so I can drink. Like, no, some things you can't change. You are what you are. Right? I can't go to my next shooting competition and come in third and be like, you know what? I really identify as being a winner, so that trophy is mine. No, you either are or you are not, right? Let's talk about another way to be different. Parking. You'll see a lot of people, especially in big department stores or whatever, and when I do go to someplace like Winco or Walmart or something. But I would submit that, again, that's not the best practice just because everybody else does it. The vast majority of us don't walk so much that it's detrimental to walk a little bit more. In fact, the vast majority of us today probably don't walk enough. So why wouldn't you park in the back of the parking lot, especially in nice weather, on a nice day? Even if it's not nice weather, is it going to kill you to walk across the parking lot? It's probably going to help you and make you live longer. Not only that, but from a tactical perspective, it gives me time where I can usually park and there's nobody around, so I'm not having a bunch of people around me getting out of the car, and if there is somebody and no other cars, that's probably a red flag. It also gives me time to listen, if I'm not on my phone, look around, survey the scene. Is anything unusual when I'm going into the store? Likewise, at night, this is a little bit different, but I'll park somewhere that's really well lit and not near the side of a building where somebody can just come and be on top of you right away. I don't park based on where everybody else wants to park or what's convenient. It's probably not going to kill you to walk 100 yards to the store. But again, that goes back to not doing what everybody else is doing. It goes back to think critically. Don't just go into a parking lot and park wherever you want. Park where you think is best. Think about it critically. If it's daytime, yeah, maybe park at the end of the parking lot and walk up to the store. If it's at nighttime, maybe park in a well-lit area, or maybe when you go to that gas station at night, drive around it once to make sure there's nobody in an area where they shouldn't be, or you are comfortable with the scene, and if you're not, go to a different one. I was recently having a discussion with the wife, and she went on a bachelorette party with a bunch of females. I guess that's obvious. But she was the only one that wasn't a doctor. My wife is super smart, and she's got her master's degree, but she's not a doctor. These were all doctors, and they were talking about, I guess they call it their residency, where they routinely work like 120 hours a week, going without good quality of sleep. And they do this because it's the culture, And what my wife said that they said, verify this for yourself, is that they do it because, well, I had to go through this, so now you have to go through this. And keep in mind, these are doctors. They might be making very critical decisions on your health. And we know now how important sleep is and how important it is for making good rational decisions and motor function and things like that. Just because the previous generation had to go through it, now you may have somebody cutting you open with very little sleep, hopped up on caffeine, or making decisions on what drugs you should or shouldn't be taking because, oh, that's just the culture. That I don't care if it's the culture. If that indeed is happening, that's wrong. I would rather have a doctor that got a good night's sleep and was making rational decisions and wasn't hopped up on caffeine that was cutting my stomach open, or whatever the case might be. That's just a recent example of how the culture, just because everybody does it, everybody can be wrong. Likewise, a lot of people just believe what they see on the news, whether it's whatever side of the news that is, whether it's the vast majority of mainstream media or the other Fox News. Like, don't just believe whatever anybody's telling you unless it can be proven. Most people today would tell you that we came from monkeys, which is garbage. I don't care that that's what most people believe. I don't care if that's what they teach in school. I'm not a freaking monkey. You'll often hear quoted that we have 98% of our DNA similar with chimpanzees. Well, that's blatantly not true. You hear it repeated so long that you'll think it's true. Just like the thing about a frog, if you put it in hot water and slowly boil it, it won't get out because it's slowly changing. That's a lie also. Go ahead and look that up. They will. Frogs thermoregulate. They're reptiles. As soon as it gets too hot, they'll try and get out of that environment, whether it is fast or gradual. You've heard it so much you think that it's true. The same thing about that garbage chimpanzee 98% DNA. What happened is DNA strands are very complex, and I'm not a scientist, go verify this for yourself. So they break them up into small pairs. The most similar pairs were 98%. Some pairs were so dissimilar they couldn't even be compared at all. So there you have a group of people that want something to be true, that want this garbage Darwinian theory taught as fact in school, made cherry-pick data to support what they want to be true. That is not true. We don't share 98% of our DNA with chimpanzees. The smallest parts of DNA structure, when pulled apart and compared to the most similar, are 98%. Maybe. Some are so dissimilar they can't even be compared. Not only that, but how does that disprove intelligent design? If I'm an engineer, if I'm an architect, if I spend time engineering and designing a pickup truck, let's say I'm just going to pick somebody. Actually, I'm going to make up a company. If I spend a bunch of time designing a pickup truck for American Motor Company, right, and it's a great truck, it runs well, everything works on it, the engine runs great, the brakes work, the electrical system works well, then you come to me the next year and say, this truck is great, we want an SUV. Am I going to go from the ground up and completely redesign the engine, the electrical system, the brakes, if they all work well on the truck? Or am I just going to modify the body to be an SUV? Right? That's what an intelligent person would do. I would submit that an all-knowing, all-powerful God would never do anything that was superfluous, and that God is the author of logic. The thing that makes me human, well, human as a whole, the thing that sets me apart from beast, is far deeper, far more substance, being made in the image of God. In the image of God, He created them. Male and female, He created them. The only thing in all creation. It doesn't say that about a duck. It doesn't say that about a fish. It doesn't say that about a chimpanzee. We, you and I, man, were created in the image of God. And there's so much more to that than my circulatory system, which is amazing, and my lungs, which are amazing, and my fingers and my dexterity, which are amazing. But being a man is so much more than that. So I don't care what the garbage majority teaches, that's blatantly not true. And if you let other people you know believe that, just because it's the majority, that's not speaking the truth in love. You're called to speak the truth in love, which is a fine line to walk sometimes, I know. But letting somebody believe a lie is not good. Letting somebody believe they can change from something they are to something they can never be and encouraging that is not loving to them. It is horribly unloving to them. Some things you cannot change. Doesn't matter what society and culture says is true. That doesn't change what actually is true. The majority does not make truth. Truth is truth. That's one of the things we've lost in today's culture and society, that truth somehow changes. That truth somehow is transient. Truth is not. The truth is the truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. No matter how many times you repeat a lie, it doesn't make it true. 2 plus 2 is not 5. It's never 5. It's always 4. You are not a monkey. You are a man, made in the image of God. Is it any wonder that our culture doesn't value human life when we make it no different than anything else? We are different. We are set apart from all of creation. And you shouldn't apologize for that. You should be very humbled and proud and in reverence to God for making you that way. It's disrespectful if somebody gives you a great gift and makes you something and honors you and sets you apart and you dismiss it. I think a lot of times today in culture we have a wrong view of what being humble is. I don't think that anybody listening that's a Christian would argue that Jesus wasn't humble. He humbled himself to the point of death, even death on a cross. But he never denied who he was. When a blind person or a leper came to him, he didn't deny. He didn't say, oh, I don't think it's my place to do that, or I can't do that. No, he did it. Even when it cost him his life, he owned what he was, the Son of God. When somebody came to him seeking to save a loved one who was dead, he didn't deny what he could do. He raised the dead. Lazarus, come forth. Likewise you, if God's given you a talent, a skill, and ability, don't shy away from it. Own it. Is it not written? Does Jesus not say, to he who has more shall be given, and he will have in abundance? When somebody notices that God's given me a great gift for shooting and tactics and being a warrior, I don't deny that. I give the glory where it belongs to God. If somebody says you're a really good shooter, I say, thank you, I'm very blessed. God has given me a great talent, or something like that. It's still being humble because it recognizes that all that I have is a gift from God, but it doesn't deny who I am or what I've been given. Likewise you, don't shy away from what you are, made in the image of God, strong.